The day started with the low, metallic clink of a chain being hooked to my car's front axle. A sound that didn't belong in my driveway. My 1969 Mustang, a pristine fastback I'd restored bolt by bolt over 5 painstaking years, sat gleaming in the morning sun. I had just stepped out of my kitchen with a mug of coffee when I saw Ida tow truck reversing in, guided by the frantic arm waves of HOA Karen herself, her floral print dress fluttering in the breeze like the flag of some invading army. Her other hand clutched a clipboard as though it were a weapon, and even from 20 feet away I could hear her barking orders to the driver. "You can't park a commercial vehicle here. It's a violation of Section 12B, she declared the moment she spotted me, her voice sharp enough to slice through the air. I nearly laughed out loud. Commercial vehicle? This car wasn't just my personal property, it was my pride, my therapy, and in some ways my history. My father had taught me to rebuild engines in a garage much like this one, and every inch of that Mustang carried a piece of him. But Karen didn't care. She never cared. This wasn't our first run-in. She tried to fine me for having non-conforming mailbox paint last fall. In the spring, she'd complained about my rose bushes being too close to the sidewalk. And now, apparently, my car, a vintage showpiece that never left the driveway without a cover, was her latest target. I stepped forward, placing myself between the Mustang and the tow truck. "Unhook it," I said to the driver, my tone calm but unmistakably firm. He hesitated, glancing nervously between me and Karen. She stomped toward me, her sandals slapping the pavement. "This is official HOA business," she announced. "I've already issued the citation. If you want to dispute it, you can take it up with the board." That's when I decided I was done playing defense. "There's just one problem, Karen," I said, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "We're not in an HOA, never have been." Her eyes narrowed, but she didn't back down. "We're under the Westbrook Community Covenant," she snapped, waving a piece of paper in my face. I plucked it from her hand and looked it over. It was a photocopy of a decades-old neighborhood welcome brochure, complete with a grainy map and a list of suggested guidelines. No signatures, no legal seals, nothing enforceable. Before I could point that out, a slow creak echoed from behind me. The garage door was rolling open, and out stepped my uncle, Judge Robert Ellison, retired from the bench but still sharp as a scalpel, wearing jeans, a crisp white shirt, and the kind of no-nonsense expression that made even the boldest attorneys stammer. He'd been in town for the weekend, helping me organize some legal documents, and he had perfect timing. Karen froze mid-sentence. "Good morning," Uncle Robert said evenly, scanning the scene. "Can someone explain why a tow truck is attempting to seize my nephew's private property without a court order?" The driver immediately started unhooking the chain, muttering something about just following instructions. Karen's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Robert stepped closer, his voice carrying that quiet authority that could fill a courtroom. "Ma'am, impersonating a legal authority to seize property is a criminal offense in this state. You have no jurisdiction, no enforceable HOA bylaws, and no legal standing to touch this vehicle." He took the brochure from my hand, held it up for the crowd that had begun to gather, and said, "This is not a binding contract. This is scrap paper." A ripple of laughter spread through the neighbors, though no one dared to outright cheer yet. Karen's face flushed an angry shade of pink. She turned to the crowd, searching for allies, but the only response was the faint click of someone's phone camera. My neighbor, Henry, the same Henry who'd filmed her tantrum at the block party last year, was already recording. "Uncle Robert," I said, my voice deliberately loud enough for the audience, "should I file a civil claim for attempted theft or go straight for criminal charges?" Karen sputtered, "You wouldn't dare," but she stopped when Robert's gaze pinned her in place. "Oh, he would," Robert said simply, "and he'd win. Every time." The tow truck roared to life and pulled away, leaving Karen standing there, clutching her useless clipboard like a life raft in a storm. But the show wasn't over yet. Robert stepped aside, motioning for someone else in the garage to come forward. Out walked a man I hadn't seen in years, Detective Marcus Rivera. An old friend of my uncle's and a decorated officer with a knack for handling neighborhood disputes that turned ugly. Karen, Marcus said in a voice dripping with irony. Funny running into you again. Last time we spoke, you were warned about filing false reports on your neighbors. I see that warning didn't stick. Her eyes darted around, calculating escape routes, but she was boxed in figuratively and literally by a semicircle of neighbors, all of whom had their phones out. You could feel the tension in the air, the moment where everyone realized the balance of power was shifting, and Karen was standing on the wrong side of it. And that's where I'll stop for now, because the next part is where the confrontation explodes into full public humiliation. The truth about Karen's fake HOA scam comes out, and her downfall becomes the talk of the whole county. Marcus stepped forward slowly, like a predator who already knew the prey had nowhere to run. Karen, I've got half a mind to cuff you right here. You've been warned, documented, and given every chance to stop harassing this neighborhood. Yet here we are againly this time. You tried to orchestrate the theft of a classic car worth more than most houses on this street. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the murmurs like a blade. Karen tried to laugh it off, but it came out as a jittery, high-pitched sound. Oh, come on. This is all just a misunderstanding, she began, but Marcus held up a hand, halting her. Save it. I've got 3 witnesses, video evidence, and a paper trail that links you to at least 6 other false citations in the past year. Do you want to guess how many of those people filed complaints? Or should I just let you read the stack when we book you? The crowd shifted, neighbors leaning in. Some I'd never seen speak above a whisper were now muttering to each other, faces twisted with a mix of anger and satisfaction. Robert crossed his arms, his presence as unyielding as a marble statue. I think it's time you considered the full consequences, Miss Karen, he said evenly. Because if Marcus doesn't arrest you today, I'll be filing a civil suit on my nephew's behalf before the sun sets. Karen's lips moved, but no words came. It was like watching someone realize the walls weren't closing and they'd already closed, and she'd locked herself inside. Then, as if fate decided to put the final nail in, Henry, the neighbor with the phone, cleared his throat. You know, he said loudly, I've got the whole thing on video, from the moment the tow truck pulled up to you giving orders to hook the car. Thinking of sending it to Channel 8. A cheer erupted from the back, someone yelling, "Put it on Facebook," and another shouting, "Tag the police department." Karen turned on her heel like she was going to storm off, but Marcus wasn't finished. "Not so fast," he said, stepping into her path. "We're going to have a little chat down at the station. If you walk away now, you'll just be adding resisting to the list." He produced a small notepad and jotted something down, the scratch of the pen punctuating the silence. "You're also looking at charges for attempted grand theft, impersonation of an HOA official, and harassment. Might be time to call a lawyer." The tow truck driver, who had been trying to disappear into the background, raised his hands. "Hey, I didn't know this was fake HOA stuff. I just took the job." She said it was all legal. Marcus nodded at him. "You're free to go, but you'll need to give a statement later." The driver wasted no time getting out of there, leaving Karen standing alone in the center of the driveway, clipboard hanging uselessly at her side. Robert looked at me and gave the smallest of nods, a signal that I had the floor. I stepped closer to Karen, my voice steady but carrying every ounce of the frustration she'd caused over the years. "You've spent so much time trying to control everyone else's property that you forgot one thing: your rules mean nothing if they're built on lies. And now you don't get to hide behind your clipboard anymore." It was then that Marcus gently but firmly took her arm and began walking her toward his unmarked car. Phones went up again, capturing every step. Karen's face twisted between rage and fear, but she didn't speak. The sound of the car door closing around her was like a gavel drop. The crowd didn't cheer loudly, they didn't need to. The quiet murmurs of satisfaction and the shared glances said everything. Over the next week, the neighborhood felt different. Lighter. People stopped by to thank me, to shake my hand, to share their own stories of Karen's bogus fines and threats. Turns out, she'd been running her HOA scam for years, preying on new residents who didn't know the community's real bylaws or lack thereof. She'd pocketed fees, intimidated renters, and even driven a young family to move after claiming their lease violated community standards. The local news picked up Henry's video, airing it with the headline, "Fake HOA President Arrested After Attempting to Tow Resident's Car." Comments poured in from viewers all over the county, some sharing similar experiences, others just enjoying the downfall of a self-appointed tyrant. The police department released a statement confirming multiple charges against her, and Robert personally filed the civil suit on my behalf. Within a month, Karen's house had a foreclosure notice on the door. The final time I saw her was in court, sitting at the defendant's table with a lawyer who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. She avoided eye contact, shrinking into her chair as the judge, someone who had once been Robert's colleague, read the charges. When the gavel fell that day, she left with fines, restitution orders, and a criminal record that would follow her for life. That evening, Robert and I pulled the Mustang out of the garage for a slow cruise through the neighborhood. People waved, kids cheered, and for the first time in years, there wasn't a shadow of tension hanging over the street. As the sun dipped low, I realized this wasn't just about my car, it was about standing up, about proving that bullies fall hardest when the community they've been pushing finally pushes back. So I'll leave it to you: when someone builds their power on intimidation and lies, is exposing them enough, or do we owe it to each other to make sure they can never do it again?